Oke.
Okay, so we continue to next part, core competence and basic competence. Yeah, I take it from curriculum 2013, and then the indicator, there are 4 indicators here. The first one is student will be able to understand. Sebenarnya Bu, karena tadi ada perubahan, jadi mungkin untuk definisi dan functionnya ini, apakah perlu diubah Bu? Karena kan indikator ini turunan dari KD, sedangkan di KD-nya ini lebih menekankan bagaimana memahami tujuan, struktur teks, unsur kebahasaan, dan sebagainya. Sedangkan kalau yang bagian pertamanya tadi kan konsepnya itu kan Bu lebih ke bagaimana, bagian topiknya itu kan tadi Bu udah diganti jadi describing animals. Jadi untuk indikatornya itu apakah masih perlu dibuat definisi atau fungsi dari descriptive text Kak Bu?
Kalau misalnya indikatornya yang pertama yaitu student will be able to understand the definition of a descriptive text, walaupun itu adalah turun dari KD, tetapi kalau konteks pembelajaran yang kamu akan laksanakan ini, micro teaching yang kamu akan laksanakan ini nggak mengcover kompetensi di mana kamu mengharapkan siswa kamu untuk understand atau bahkan untuk bisa restate gitu ya, atau re-explain based on their understanding gitu kan, then it's okay for you not to put here as the indicators, even though it's a part of atau turunan dari si basic competence ini. Ngerti ya? Karena kan ini yang kamu akan lakukan adalah bagian dari pembelajaran mereka, tetapi sudah pernah mereka dapatkan sebelumnya. Jadi kamu nggak perlu lagi membuat itu sebagai indikator. Kalau yang kamu buat sebagai indikator ini adalah sebenarnya tetap menjadi bagian dari basic competence, tapi kan nggak harus semua yang termasuk atau semua yang harus tercover di bawah turunan dari basic competence harus ada semua di indikator, nggak harus gitu. Harus dikontekstualkan lagi dengan konteks pembelajaran yang kamu akan laksanakan gitu.
Oke, Bu. Nah, saya bingungnya itu yang bagian KD 33 sama KD 44, Bu. KD 33 kan lebih kepada kata memahami. Sedangkan kalau KD 44 itu adalah menyusun. Jadi bentuk indikatornya itu agak membingungkan gitu, Bu. Kalau misalnya bedanya memahami sama menyusun apa? Karena kalau memahami kan Bu lebih ke understand. Tapi kalau misalnya definisi sama fungsinya itu sudah dipelajari di kelas sebelumnya atau kelas-kelas sebelumnya, apa hal yang istilahnya di KD ini lagi mau diturunkan ke indikator gitu Bu?
Ya. Oke. Jadi misalnya ekspektasi dari pemerintah ya bahwa kelas 8 gitu ya mereka harus bisa memahami tujuan, struktur teks dan unsur kebahasaan dari teks, deskripsi lisan atau lisan ya, dalam hal ini kan lisan ya, bukan tertulis ya, karena kalian kan listening speaking bukan reading writing ya. Teks deskripsi lisan tentang benda atau barang sangat pendek dan sederhana. Jadi ini ekspektasinya pemerintah nih. Ekspektasi itu berarti adalah requirement tertinggi gitu ya. Dan kalau misalnya siswa-siswa itu sudah punya pemahaman yang menyeluruh, yang komplit begitu ya, yang mumpuni lah istilahnya ya, maka mereka akan bisa menjelaskan gitu ya, menjelaskan atau mereka bisa menggunakan tense secara benar misalnya ketika mereka ketika mereka harus menunjukkan understanding-nya mereka, pemahaman mereka tentang struktur teks, tujuan, unsur kebahasaan dari teks deskripsi lisan gitu. Atau misalnya mereka bisa mengidentifikasi dari misalnya teks deskripsi lisan yang mereka dengerin gitu ya, mereka bisa identifikasi yang mana struktur teksnya, bagaimana struktur teksnya, kemudian apa saja yang menjadi unsur kebahasaan dari teks tersebut, mereka bisa identifikasi dengan mudah gitu ya. Kalau sudah ada pemahaman yang baik, yang penuh, yang whole, yang penuh, yang menyeluruh gitu ya. Nah, sehingga untuk merumuskan indikator, kamu hanya tinggal memilih kata yang waktu itu kita sudah pelajarin juga ya di pedagogi kelas ya. Itu ada beberapa kata-kata kerja operasional ya yang nanti akan mengarahkan kamu untuk melihat kompetensi C1 kah, C2 kah menurut taksonomi Bloom gitu ya, yang kamu bisa melihat kompetensi siswa kamu tuh sampai di mana dan requirement dari pemerintah sampai di mana, kemudian konteks kelas kamu yang akan kamu targetkan untuk siswa kamu untuk capai itu yang mana gitu. Apakah C1 ataukah C2? Tapi kalau pemahaman kan sudah lebih dari C1, C2 gitu kan ya. C3 bahkan gitu ya, analyze kan. Nah, jadi yang harus kamu tuliskan di sini untuk indikator adalah bukan bagian sih, maksudnya menggunakan kata-kata kerja yang nanti memang targetnya adalah untuk bisa memperlihatkan seberapa dalam pemahaman dari siswa kamu tentang teks deskripsi dan berikut ini ya, berikut elemen-elemennya ini, termasuk tujuan, struktur teks, dan unsur kebahasaan, sejauh mana yang mereka sudah memahami itu. Tetapi bukan lagi memahami, gitu ya, tetapi mereka harus ada action yang bisa menunjukkan pemahaman mereka itu. Mengerti maksud saya ya, Devni ya?
Iya, Bu. Tapi Bu, karena kami itu sudah bagi ini satu unit mapping kan untuk 3 orang, Bu. Jadi untuk bagian saya itu ada definisi sama purpose. Terus untuk yang teman yang lain itu ada bagian generic structure, terus yang satunya lagi itu language feature. Nah, makanya karena udah pembagian itu saya nggak masukin yang struktur teks sama unsur kebahasaannya gitu, Bu, di sini.
Iya, nggak apa-apa.
Oh.
Nah, cuman perhatikan juga tentang topik kamu yang lebih spesifik tadi tentang describing animals tadi gitu ya. Nah, describing animals itu sebenarnya kan bagian dari teks deskripsi lisan ini kan ya. Misalnya mereka dengerin dulu video gitu ya tentang penjelasan mengenai binatang-binatang tertentu gitu ya yang langka di dunia misalnya gitu kan ya, karakteristik mereka, habitat mereka dan sebagainya. Dan ketika mereka mendengarkan, nah mereka karena sudah paham sebelumnya apa itu tujuan, struktur teks, unsur kebahasaan gitu ya dari teks deskripsi lisan, sehingga indikatornya misalnya student will be able to identify misalnya the characteristic of animals based on the video that they watch, itu juga bisa.
Iya.
Jadi langsung dikontekstualkan dengan pembelajaran kamu, tujuan pembelajarannya kamu nanti, dan juga topik yang spesifik. Gitu. Because we are talking about daily lesson plan ya, not weekly, not even unit lesson planning.
Yes, Bu. Okay. So yeah, I will change my indicator letter. And then about the diagnose, I decide this one. Jadi untuk yang kognitifnya itu dari sekian banyak siswanya itu kurang lebih sebanyak 25% itu student do not understand the characteristic of descriptive text. Mungkin kayak lebih ke lupa sih, Bu, maksud saya di sini. Jadi karena sudah berlalu kan banyak student yang lupa akan materi pembelajaran. Jadi untuk diagnosanya itu ada beberapa student yang sudah melupakan gitu. Jadi saya buat di sini 25% of the student do not understand the characteristic of descriptive text. And then 50% dari student belum mampu memahami isi keseluruhan descriptive text jika dibacakan secara oral gitu. And then the last one, ini sih jadi balik lagi ke definisinya. Jadi most of the student already know the definition of descriptive text. Untuk yang efektifnya, karena efektif itu lebih ke respon menurut pemahaman saya, jadi saya tulis 50% of students have not been able to respond correctly to the content of the descriptive text. Jadi lebih karena mereka nggak tahu, mereka itu masih kurang dalam hal listening, mereka belum bisa ini Bu, mereka belum bisa merespon, istilahnya tidak tahu cara merespon atau menjawab inti, kalau ditanya inti dari tes deskripsi lisan itu apa gitu. And then the last one, psychomotor, the student have not been able to read the descriptive text with the correct pronunciation. Jadi ada dua masalah, mereka itu masih kurang dalam hal listening, dan yang kedua itu mereka masih kurang dalam hal pelafalan. So, ya, ini bagian diagnosisnya.
Pelafalan itu masuk speaking skill ya?
I guess, yes.
Well, yeah, it's a small part of it though. But the bigger part would be in how they could convey the message, yeah, through their speaking, right? Yeah, but if pronunciation, if they are not being able to read a descriptive text with the correct pronunciation, that would rather go to reading skills then.
Oh.
Ya kan nih, students are not able or haven't been able to read the descriptive text with the correct pronunciation, while speaking skill is more on how they convey their message orally or through spoken English, right?
Oh, yes.
Jadi bedanya di sana. So that's why pronunciation is only a small portion of speaking skill in general, actually. Itu ya. And then, nah, so for the affective even, yeah, for the affective, that made me question. So if they haven't been able to respond, and there are 15% of them who haven't been able to respond correctly to the content of the descriptive text that are told to them, then what should you fix then? Or what cognitive levels, what abilities, what concepts that they are lacking of, right? Because they are not able to respond. It means that they don't get it. They don't get what a video or what a story that have been told to them, because this has, I mean, because their listening is low, right? Their listening skill is low. That's why they cannot respond, as you said, right? But there must be something, parts of the process, the learning process that they have had previously that made them not able to respond, right? Apanya yang membuat mereka nggak bisa respon? Dalam hal ini efektif kan ya? Pasti ada kaitannya dengan knowledge yang mereka sudah pelajarin sebelumnya, atau apa yang pernah mereka pelajarin sebelumnya, betul? Hai Rani.
Halo Ibu.
Hai ya. Oke, Devni ya.
So, do you mean I have to change the effective one?
I think you will need to think about the cognitive part though. For the affective, they are not able to respond. Yeah, that is a part of the affective learning aspect, yes. But there must be parts of their knowledge, their cognitive abilities that that hold them up there and not being able to respond, right? Right? If you said that students don't understand the characteristic of the descriptive text, so it means that, is that also a part of why they couldn't respond correctly to the content of the text that is read for them or that they listen to? Itu, they didn't get it. They didn't get the characteristic of an animal that they watch from the video or story. But in the second one, in the second cognitive diagnosis, students haven't been able to understand the content of, nah ini loh maksudnya, they're not able to understand the content of the descriptive text orally. Which part of the content that made them not being able to understand the content? Itu apakah topiknya terlalu susah atau bahasanya terlalu susah sehingga mereka nggak bisa mengerti konten dari si descriptive text itu gitu ya? Atau mereka memang nggak terbiasa mendengar beberapa kata difficult words gitu ya yang mereka belum pernah dengar, karena kan we are talking about listening, what the media that they are listening to gitu kan ya.
Yes, Bu.
Ya itu. Apalagi tambah ini nih, most of the students already know already know the definition of descriptive text. Oh ya, okay. So, do you know what to do, Daphne?
I'm still confused, Bu. I know, pasti ada alasan why I put this one here. Tapi maksud Ibu, should I put the reason why they do not understand?
You need to make it more specific.
Oh,
iya.
Okay.
You
Ya,
kan
Bu, ya.
understand, they're not able to understand the content itu. Ya apa masalahnya? Kenapa mereka nggak bisa understand the content gitu kan ya?
Ya. Oke, Bu. Wait.
Ya, maksud saya kalau diagnosanya ini sudah spesifik sehingga nanti ketika kamu membuat learning objektifnya bisa juga nyambung gitu. Misalnya nih, karena mereka itu nggak bisa understand the whole content because they are not used to listen to podcast, for example. If you ask your students to listen to news or a story or apalah ya, pokoknya tentang si animal description itulah ya. Through any media, and then they're not used to listen to the podcast, for example, so that's why they don't understand, or they're not familiar with some difficult words used gitu kan. So in the learning objective you will target that part gitu maksudnya, jadi lebih kontekstual.
Okay, Bu. Yes. So should we continue?
Yes.
Okay.
Ini dari from the beginning until the end ya.
Okay.
So Rani will need to wait.
Sabar ya, Ran.
Yes.
Okay. About the learning objective. Nah, ini Bu, bingungnya ini learning objective itu kan sepemahaman saya adalah turunan dari indikator.
Yes.
Tapi di bagian diagnosnya ini juga maksudnya apakah learning objective ini lebih diturunkan itu dari diagnosa yang si murid-murid atau lebih ke indikatornya gitu, Bu?
Semuanya sih, Dev. Semuanya. Iya dong, semuanya kan. Dari mulai topik yang kamu sudah tentukan dari awal, BCW-nya, key concepts, enduring understanding, essential question, sampai indikator, sampai ke diagnosa, semuanya mempengaruhi. Akhirnya mempengaruhi decision kamu untuk set up goals gitu kan. Misalnya nih, kalau yang tadi kita bicarakan kan ya, yang mengenai apa tadi? Diagnosa ya, diagnosis. So, if your students are lack of understanding on toward the content of whatever that they're listening to because of some reasons, because of some missing parts gitu kan. Karena kalau otak itu kan seperti puzzle. So there must be some missing parts that made them not be able to understand the whole context, the whole meaning of this text, right? Nah, itu akan nyambung dengan indikatornya kamu. Tadi kan kita bicarakan juga, indikator kamu tadi harus dikontekstualkan juga dengan topiknya gitu kan ya. Topiknya tentang describing animals, for example. So would you please scroll up, Daphne? Ya, oke, good. Oke. Nah, untuk yang indikator, bagian indikator, bawahnya ini, yes, oke. Nah, tapi ini tadi kan kita sudah bicarakan ya, kamu harus merevise kan ya. Nah, harus dikontekstualkan lagi dengan direlatekan, dihubungkan dengan topik, spesifik topik yang kamu akan ini gitu kan ya. Nah, jadi misalnya apa nih? Indikatornya apa?
student will be able to mendeskripsikan binatang berdasarkan karakteristik.
Ya, boleh ya. Oke, nah students will be able to describe animals based on its characteristic, for example, gitu kan. Nah, akankah ada hubungannya dengan diagnosis? Bisa jadi karena misalnya student they don't understand what specific characteristics of several animals that they have gained from watching this video, for example. Kan berarti terhubung, gitu kan ya. Nah, sehingga nanti learning objektifnya berarti kamu akan mendesain learning goals yang akan membantu siswa kamu untuk lebih mengerti mengenai karakteristik of certain animals. Gitu. Gitu kan? Jadi kan nyambung semuanya.
Oh, yes. So I think I have to change it again. Yes, Bu. Yeah, to make it more specific. Okay. So, yeah, Bu.
Yeah, don't forget learning objective. This must be even more specific than the indicator. If indicator that those indicators are only like signs or signs that will help you as a teacher to indicate the parts of the basic competence that needs to be met by your students' competences or skills, gitu kan ya? So the indicators are only like the bridges, gitu ya, for your students to be able to achieve goals. Ya, goalsnya adalah yang si basic competence tadi, gitu kan ya. Nah, but learning objective will be very specific, even more specific than indicators. Karena hubungannya nanti ke konteksnya siswanya seperti apa berdasarkan si diagnosis yang tadi, gitu ya. Kalau studentnya itu masih they are very lacking of familiar words, for example, from the video that they watch, for example, then the learning goals will need to be contextualized with their condition, gitu. Misalnya, students will be able to, and then don't use understand anymore. Don't use the verb understand because we cannot measure understanding, students' understanding. We can only measure students' understanding through a more definite verbs, if I may say. Gitu ya. For example, identify, explain, describe, and then bla 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 gitu ya, yang di Bloom taxonomy gitu ya, following C1, C2, C3 and C4 gitu ya. Oke, nah tadi sampai di mana tuh yang
learning?
Oh ya, familiar, unfamiliar words gitu ya. So your target is to help your students to reach that point that they missed gitu kan ya. Misalnya students will be able to to interpret, for example, using their own understanding, right? Some words that they found on the text that they listen to, because ini ngomongin a descriptive text, but it's in oral version gitu ya, through the video that they watch, for example, gitu ya. And they need to be able to interpret some difficult words that they found in the text or from the video, ya, using their own words, ya kan? We need to follow the ABCD. Don't forget, ya, audience, behavior, condition, and degree, gitu ya. Appropriate, accurately, I mean, based using their own words, gitu kan ya, with make sense meaning, for example. Itu kan degree-nya bisa jadi seperti itu, gitu kan ya.
Yes, Bu.
So everything should be related.
Okay, Bu. Yes, and oh yeah, Bu, because I have I give them a task like deliver their own descriptive text in front of the class. Of course, they have to write the text firstly. So is it okay? Because the skill that we want to improve for themselves is listening and speaking.
Yes, it's okay because that is a part of their learning process, right? But instead of reading the text later on, they will need to be able to internalize, really understand, comprehend the things that they have written as a script, yeah, something like a script, like a text, a draft text that can guide them. And then later, you will expect them to be able to spell out gitu ya, using their own words confidently dan segala macam, right?
Okay, Bu. So, for the learning objective, the effective, because for the first in the diagnosanya, Bu, the student are not able to respond correctly. So I give them a fill in the blank activity.
Yes, that's good.
Okay. And yes, Bu.
Wait. But when they respond and then they need to fill out the blank worksheets that you have provided, right?
Yes.
Tapi tetap perlu ada ini ya responnya. Okay then. Because as I said before, we cannot separate even these three learning aspects, right? They are all correlated each other, right? Bener nggak? Kognitif, afektif, kognitif juga. Nanti afektif, psikomotor juga pasti ada hubungannya.
So
yes.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. And the last one, I have to change this one, not read, but deliver their own descriptive, the correct pronunciation.
Yes.
So, okay. And for the learning strategies and methods, I choose this one. The strategies in inquiry learning. The method is discourse, discussion, and gamification. Okay.
Nah, this is what I meant just now ya, about the strategy, about the method. Ya, kalau method kan lebih ke long run-nya gitu ya. Kalau strategi, you will need to also plan on how you will implement this inquiry-based learning ya throughout your learning process that you will have later on ya, step by step. And you may find journals, articles, or ebook about inquiry based and what would be the steps on how you will implement this strategy. Start it from the beginning.
Yes.
What the students need to do first, second, third, and then you will need to elaborate that later on in your lesson, in your micro teaching later on, just like what I explained earlier when we talked about the rubric, the micro teaching rubric. Okay.
Yes. And this is the activity. So the first one, the teacher make a synchronous class with the student. The time allocation is about 10 minutes. It starts from the teacher greets the student, and then lead the opening prayer and check the student attendance, and reminds the student about rules and procedures or the classroom. And then I put this one because I learned from my mentor when I do my first PPL. The topic is also about descriptive text, and she asked the student to have a game with her, like a guessing game. So the teacher will describe one thing, and then the student have to guess what is the object is.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And then the last one for the opening, the teacher conveys the learning objectives to the student.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Don't forget how teacher also need to motivate the students, right?
Yes. Oh, for that part, should the teacher? I mean, what is the teacher? What the teacher should do? Bukankah kalau melalui game ini juga bisa menjadi istilahnya motivasi for the student?
Bisa. Yes. Well, if you have finished the game and then you try to like summarize. Okay, guys, so we have finished our game. So what have you learned throughout the game, gitu ya? Nah, if you can make sure that at the end of the game, it's not only for fun, but the teacher also needs to make sure that the students also learn something from what they have done, and that will also bring the students to get more motivated, to get ready for the next topic that they're going to have on that day. That would be okay. So ya, pastinya kalau motivasi itu sebenarnya bisa dilakukan di mana aja gitu kan ya. Just want to make sure aja bahwa kamu perlu memotivasi student kamu ketika introduction gitu. Karena itu juga adalah the basic skills or the basic requirement, right? Based on the rubric that we have just discussed. Biasanya soalnya mahasiswa bisa lupa loh. Beneran.
Yeah.
This is the real fact.
Yes, Bu. So, yeah, we continue to the presentation. I think I need to change some parts because, ya, seperti saran Ibu kan tadi kayak seperti ini, menemukan kata-kata sulit and then the student make their own sentence to lebih memahami apakah student itu sudah bisa menginterpretasi kata itu dalam kalimat yang logis. So I think I have to I need to change some parts, but this is my presentation part. There are synchronous and asynchronous.
Yes. Now, just like what I said earlier as well, so during this presentation, you will need to make sure that the inquiry-based learning strategy that you have chosen will need to be clearly stated here. I mean, not clearly stated like in written, but clearly planned. So for example, for the synchronous, the teacher explains about the definition, or you may revise this part, right? Or the teacher gives some examples of simple descriptive text about animals. Does this activity revert to the step on how inquiry-based strategy will be implemented? If yes, then go ahead, gitu ya. So what should teachers need to prepare, or what should teachers also need to do following the strategy that you have chosen, inquiry-based learning strategy, gitu. Ya. And what's going to be the next activity? Maybe the students are put in groups, for example, or apa-apa, then breakout room atau apa-apa. Contextualize it also all your planning with online context as well, ya. And then for the resources tuh yang PowerPoint Zoom itu, ya. If you also have reference that you will use for preparing the materials, the review time even gitu ya. Misalnya kamu menggunakan si guessing game ini, kamu punya referensi apa nih, link dari mana gitu ya. Then you will also put as the resources or the media used here. Gitu. Jadi nggak sekedar PowerPoint, Zoom, that's it. Gitu. But there might be more links or webs or even apps gitu ya, yang bisa juga digunakan. Ya.
Yes, Bu. And yes, for the guided practice, the teacher will ask the student to observe the animal around them, and then there is the asynchronous one. And I give the persyaratan gitu, Bu. There should be 5 characteristic of the animal, and then they have to write down into the descriptive text. And for the synchronous, the teacher asks the student to read their own descriptive. Oh, I think not read, but deliver. They have to
Present.
present their own descriptive text in front of the class, and then the teacher ask the other student like to check the other students understanding, whether they understand what their friend present or not gitu, Bu.
This would be for the guided practice,
Yes, Bu.
Oh.
Guided practice.
Okay, I was thinking like this, since this is an online context, right? Yeah, and then if you ask, for example, asynchronously, it means that this is going to be their homework, like that. The teacher asks students to observe one animal in their environment.
No, it is done in the learning process, in the ketika mereka sedang belajar, but they do that asynchronously. Jadi nggak harus ini Bu, tidak harus stay in Zoom gitu.
Oh yeah. Okay. So they do it. Oh yeah. And then they will need to resume back to the main room to have the synchronous time again with the teacher. And then when the teacher, when they meet with the teacher again during the synchronous session, and then each student will read or will present their descriptive text, their animal description to their friends in front of the class.
Yes, Bu.
Yeah. Will you put them in breakout rooms so that the time will be more effectively used, or do you want your students one by one to present it in the main room? It will take hours, I think. Because
the student that I will teach is just two students. I think we can do it in mainly.
Okay. If only two, yes. Okay, that would be fine then, yeah. And when you explain about guided practice, I was thinking also about what you have planned earlier as a part of your enduring understanding. You mentioned in the enduring understanding that from the human side, from their own responsibility, they need to be able to be responsible, responsive, blah, 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 to the environment, right? Now, why don't you also include that here? So not only asking the students to observe, but think about how you could do to preserve preserve your environment, probably, right?
Yes. Okay.
So
Bu.
yes, no, I mean, so that at the end of the day, your students won't only learn something new cognitively that will benefit for their cognitive only, right? If only observing, describing, that will only satisfy their cognitive components, right? But not their affective, not even their spiritual aspect, right? Now, you will need to think about those things as well. Okay. Closing.
So, okay, this one. So for the closing, because based on this one student learning statement, and then after checking understanding again, I arrange this this list. The teacher asked the student to convey conclusion related to the learning process, to the learning material. I mean this one, and then after the teacher asks the student, the teacher give the conclusion for the student, and then the teacher asks the student to reflect, like how wonderful, God created the word gitu. And then after each student give their deliver or convey their reflection, the teacher gives them homework, and then after that, the teacher closed the class Chromebook.
Okay, about the reflection, about the homework that they need to have, that they need to do, okay, at the end of the class, at the end, I mean, outside the class as their homework, yeah, those are supposed to relate again to the goals that you have set, to the prior biblical values that you have had, that you have designed earlier, okay? Those are all should be related. And then the closing part is not supposed to be the part where teacher confirm about the biblical Christian worldview. Okay, this is not the only part where teacher confirms with the students. Okay, so what have you learned, guys, today? Okay, what could you share with us related to the learning process that you have had about how God has created the universe with wonderful animals that sometimes you didn't pay attention on, blah, blah, blah. This is not the only part, okay? Throughout the learning process, the presentation part where you strategize some activities that will help your students to acknowledge God's greatness, yeah, of creating such beautiful animals with their own uniqueness and characteristics that cannot be found anywhere else in any other animals, should be also an important part during your presentation when you implement each step of inquiry-based learning strategy. Okay, so throughout the learning process, from the beginning until the end, the students need to grasp that values, those values that God wants us to teach and deliver to them. Okay, so we are not teachers who are only pouring out water from glass to glasses, from one glass to other glasses, right? But we are actually preparing them to have fertilized soil, right, in their hearts, to be prepared for God's seeds planted in their hearts, right? You see, I think that's all.
For the self-practice book, yeah, I'm confused because I think all the activity have been applied in the learning process, so I don't have anything to in self-practice. I mean, like the homework. So I give the student a reading resources about the generic structure and descriptive text. So just like that, is it? Yeah. Do you have any suggestion to?
Okay. Yeah, if you can pay attention, the part before closing part, can you please scroll up a little bit? Before the
This
closing?
one?
Yes. Yes, that is the guided practice. And then can you read the small sentences that I cannot read? Below guided practice there. Yeah.
Associated with learning, real behavior, practice without penalty, and check understanding.
Yeah, okay. So associated with learning, real behavior, active. Yeah, so this is when the teacher also conduct the lesson, conduct the activities that will promote students' active learning involvement, for example, like that. Yeah, and that's why teacher will allow the students to get involved actively without any penalty if they make mistakes, if they don't answer correctly, if they don't perform well, there won't be any penalty, right? And that is a part of checking their understanding. And this is supposed to be guided by the teacher, right? But when closing part is done, okay, let's go down again, scroll down, Daphne. That would be the guided practice. And this one, after the closing part, this would be the part where students will take their independent learning out of the class after they have learned so much things with you in the class. Okay? So this is a part where they will implement, or what is it? practice out whatever that they have been learning so far with you in the class in their individual or their independent zone, something like that. And for sure, it will be related to the homework, probably to the further activities that you have provided for them to do independently outside the class. Okay? So is this what you meant by the part that you put here in the closing part, teacher gives homework to the students? Is this
Yes,
the
Bu.
homework? Oh,
Yes,
okay,
Bu.
the homework. Okay. Now, again, the homework should be related to your goals, your values, the values that you want your students to learn from after they have finished learning about specific topic with you.
Oh,
Gitu.
oh, Bu, because you suggest me to, after the student find some difficult words from the audio or video they watch, can I for the self practice their homework is to write their own sentence. So the bagian menulis kalimat sendiri dari kata-kata sulit itu dijadikan sebagai homework. So, okay.
Bisa. But again, Daphne, try to give the homework that is meaningful for the students. Gitu ya. Meaningful ini artinya bisa jadi itu menjadi jembatan untuk mereka bisa improve their areas that are still lacking, just like what you have mentioned, gitu ya. But meaningful also have another meaning that is beyond only cognitive abilities. Again, just like what we have also discussed, gitu ya. Because the values that you have designed from the very beginning of your lesson plan, that is very good for you to enrich and let your students flourish what they have been learning so far with you. Okay. The example or the suggestion that I gave you just now, that is only a small suggestion from me that you can use to revise your indicator, karena kan indicator pasti ada hubungannya dengan basic competence gitu kan ya. Basic competence-nya tentang tujuan, struktur teks, linguistic features gitu kan ya. And then also berhubungan dengan diagnosanya tadi, student yang lack of understanding of the whole content. That's why I suggested you that one example, but it doesn't mean that that example should be the best thing that you can use to be put as your students' homework that will only last in their cognitive level gitu.
Yes.
Yes, okay. You're following, yeah, what I just said. Okay.
Okay, Bu. So,
you have ini ya, you have consulted all the parts of your lesson plan nih. Benar-benar deh si Devni ini ya.
and Bu, can I also ask you
belum
about
selesai
the
juga.
rubric?
Yeah. Yes, the rubric.
Because you said that cognitive and psychomotor can be combined. Yes, I actually have designed this rubric. There are two rubric here. Cognitive and psychomotor. Because the cognitive in the previous part, I said that the student can make or create their own descriptive text based on their observation of the animal around them. So the cognitive, I give them writing task. So yeah, there are two aspects that will be scored about the accuracy and regularity. And then for the psychomotor, because they have to deliver or present their own descriptive text. So I just put pronunciation and intonation in the psychomotor. So should I combine this rubric because the task is different? So I'm still confused about this.
Yeah. Why don't you integrate cognitive and spiritual aspect? Can you integrate that between this cognitive about the content that they're going to present later on, right? And how you will also expect them to have reflective thinking first before they write up any draft, any writing text that will be useful for their speaking later on, the speaking presentation. They will need to think and reflect on what they have been learning so far throughout the lesson, and then how grateful they are for everything that God has given to them in their lives, and related also to the animals around them that they have seen, that they have observed. And then that will include also their reflective thinking on how they should also take good care of their environment as a part of their responsibility toward God's creation, right? That could be integrated, right? Cognitive and spiritual. Yes, Daphne? Does it make any sense?
So for if I integrate cognitive and spiritual aspects, so do you mean what else? I'm so confused.
Okay. So okay. For the cognitive part, what is it that you that you expect your students to do for the cognitive part?
They can create their own descriptive text based on their observation.
Yeah. Oke, let me use bahasa Indonesia. Just seperti yang tadi kita diskusikan kan ya di the previous pages, when seketika kamu tadi memberikan yang kamu tulisan di guided practice tadi tuh, bahwa teacher meminta siswa untuk observe animals yang ada di sekitar mereka. Kemudian tadi saya suggest gitu kan ya, kenapa nggak sekalian aja mereka ketika mereka observe, terus mereka juga pasti sudah catat gitu ya. Oke, aku mengobserv ini, terus karakteristik binatangnya seperti ini, habitatnya binatang di sini gitu kan ya. Nah, karena di atas lesson plan kamu di bagian enduring understanding kan kamu menuliskan juga bahwa ada juga bagian manusia ketika manusia sudah memahami nih bagaimana Tuhan menciptakan dunia ini dengan sangat baik, dengan creation, dengan animals yang juga sangat bervariasi gitu ya. Kemudian dari diri manusia juga perlu ada kontribusi nih di dalam lingkungan mereka gitu ya. Salah satunya adalah misalnya tidak suka. Kalau saya dulu sekali ya, saya tuh paling nggak suka sama kucing. Sorry ya Yesus, if you are here. Saya paling nggak suka kucing. Saya bisa tendang kucing loh, beneran. Dulu saya benci banget sama kucing pokoknya. Karena apa? Karena di rumah saya dulu zaman dahulu kala selalu ada kucing kalau mereka mau melahirkan, sudah gede perutnya, melahirkannya selalu di rumah saya. Dan itu membuat banyak bulu dan saya nggak suka banget gitu loh. Nah, that's why I always kick cats out of my house gitu loh. Nah, itu kan sebenarnya salah gitu kan ya. So, that is only one example on how we expect students also to know their responsibility, how to take care of their environment gitu kan, including appreciate animals as God's creation gitu ya. Now, why don't you ask your students after they observe, then ask them to reflect on the things that they have been doing so far, whether they have helped God or being responsible to preserve the environment around them by taking good care of animals around them gitu misalnya gitu kan. Jadi kan kamu bisa minta mereka observe sekalian mereka berefleksi. Dan itu yang mereka tuangkan di dalam writing draft mereka. Dan itu juga yang akan kamu assess. untuk kognitif dan spiritual aspeknya mereka dong.
So for in their descriptive text, they also put their reflection. So it's not.
Yes, could be. Iya
I
kan?
see.
Itu kan seperti berenang 1-2 pulau terlampaui. Jadi
Iya, Bu,
kamu
iya.
nggak sekedar minta mereka untuk tulisin aja list of things that you observe. Karakteristiknya binatangnya nggak cuma itu kan semuanya kognitif doang. Tapi bagaimana mereka bisa menginternalisasi responsibility-nya mereka apa sih? Apa yang mereka bisa kontribusikan gitu-gitu. Yeah. Okay. And also the same thing with psychomotor. Psychomotor actually can be also integrated with other components actually. But since you have integrated cognitive and spiritual, for example, nah psychomotor bisa diintegrasikan dengan affective misalnya. Waktu mereka present, so they don't only concern much on their grammar accuracy, ya, or pronunciation, or even intonation. Those are things, those aspects are very important while they are presenting. But what is more important than that while they are presenting?
Yes, Bu.
Yeah. What else? What else that you expect them to perform while they are presenting their topic?
Maybe their attitude when they are delivering their.
Yes, betul. Nah, itu kan affective side gitu kan, tapi juga termasuk juga psikomotornya mereka. Oke ya, Daphne ya, I think you have big picture very clearly now.
Okay, Bu. I think there's no. Gak ada lagi. Thank you so much, Ibu.
Yeah, okay, Daphne, thank you. Yeah, maybe now.
I'm sorry if I use your time a lot, and I'm sorry for Rani and Ruth.
Yeah, it's okay. Nah, Rani, Ruth, since you have been listening all this time, yeah, while Daphne is asking about the whole parts of her lesson plan, are there any more questions from you two?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, hello, Rani.
Yeah. Maybe wait a minute. I need to remember my question.
Oh, you don't remember?
Actually, I have a lot because it's quite confusing since I already start working on it, and there's a lot of questions along the process actually. And maybe the first one that I want to try to ask is, and maybe it's not, I just want to ask the opening the opening presentation closing. So I cannot actually explain it through words. Can I just screen sharing them?
Oh yeah, sure. I have enabled all participants to do the screen share.
Only for.
But Bu, can I leave the Zoom?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Bu. Good luck, guys.
Bye. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Is it appearing in you, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe I will firstly come to from the learning goal before I explain the activity. So actually, my topic is about like and dislike, and I diagnosed that the students already learned about this in previous meeting because I am this in the second meeting. So actually, they have learned it in the first meeting, and students' ability to give correct response is 50% fluent. Their listening ability is 70% fluent because I want students to be able to listen to like and dislike. So like and dislike conversation through, I will provide like the activity in my class is actually there are two. So the students are able to listen to the conversation of audio of like and dislike conversation. I will provide an audio, and there will be a gap. So they will fill the gap with a correct like and dislike conversation. So they need listening skill ability. And also for the speaking, I provide like presentation, but it's only for about 3 until 5 minutes presentation. So it's a conversation presentation. So they create a conversation and they present it in the class. And for the learning goal, students will be able to give a correct, identify correct and incorrect response of like and dislike, and also they are able to listen to like and dislike conversation and fill in the gap. For the affective, they are able to participate in the group. For the psychomotor, they are able to create their own like and dislike expression sentence, so which will be applied in a conversation. And the second one, they are able to demonstrate their understanding through the conversation presentation, and then they are able to speak in a group and also in the class during the presentation. So that's the learning goal that I put in order to achieve the indicator, ma'am. So for the method, I use inquiry-based learning and discussion, and the strategy, I mean. And for the method, there are the demonstration method, because I first give an example and then I ask them to collaborate. So it's collaborative learning. For the opening, I firstly greet the
Sorry,
students.
Rani.
Yeah,
sorry.
ma'am.
Yeah. You will keep on going and going until the end again then. I mean like this. Okay, so you have explained sort of like the big things, yeah, the important parts that I should know, okay? And then when you go to the activities that you have designed, the parts that you're about to explain again, yeah? Scroll down, please. After strategy, method. It's the opening, yes, it's the opening session right now. Okay, so I have known all the background, just like what you have explained. So which part of this opening, presentation, and closing that you would like to ask further?
Okay, so actually the first one is previously I don't provide the review. And I just add the review there, ma'am, actually. And also I try to add the motivation for it. So for this opening, is actually not really confusing for me, but I just want to make sure, is it okay to put the review in the lastly? So I greet the students, and then I started with prayer. I check the attendance, and then I explain the agenda. And after that, I explain the rules. But I motivate the students and I review their understanding, and I correlate it with today's
topic,
today's material. Yeah, today's topic.
Yes, for sure. You are allowed to do anything you would like to do, you know, because teaching is an art. Okay, believe it or not, teaching is an art. So it means that each individual, each teacher will have their own style, their own focus, their own passion, right? Yeah, throughout the learning process, and even throughout the preparation before they teach. That's why Miss May, yeah, last week, she ever informed us, she ever encouraged all of us, right, to even to be flexible, right, to be flexible, adaptable as well, yeah, facing any dynamic changes ever happen or will ever happen again in the future, right? Yeah. So a teacher has really like a crucial role, but as well as teaching is an art. It's the teacher's soul, yeah, who needs to lead. I mean, for sure, God's wisdom will lead, but the teacher's soul also need to be involved in. So no need to ask me, is it okay? Is it okay? Of course it's okay. It depends on your own style, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
So actually for the opening is not really confusing, but for the presentation, it's quite confusing for me because the opening is started with synchronous session, and for the presentation, is it okay to like we have just 10 minutes asynchronous. Jadi sebelumnya udah sinkronus, terus tiba-tiba berhenti dulu asinkronus, baru lanjut ke sinkronus lagi. Jadi asinkronus itu saya di situ saya buatin I provide the quiz. Like they listen to a conversation, just short conversation, and they fill the gap. Baru lanjut ke sinkronus. Di situ saya review dulu jawaban mereka, baru masuk ke presentasi. Is it effective, ma'am, or like?
In the real class running, yeah, in the real running class, I mean, yeah, online context like this, yeah. Usually teacher will do this. I mean, will ask the students to do asynchronous before they meet synchronously, or even before they meet in the introduction part, in the opening session synchronously. Why? To save time. That is very clear answer. That is the very short answer. Yeah. Now, why? Because we never know how good or how bad the students' connections and as well as the teacher's connection, right? If the teacher needs to meet with the students synchronously and then stop in the middle and then ask the students to do asynchronously and then go back again to have sessions with the teacher, okay? Well, it happened if you are a homeroom teacher, though, and then you teach your students freely. I mean, you can decide, yeah, which subject will come first, which subject that can be also a bridge for another subject, and then where you can also ask your students to do asynchronously in the middle. Now, if you can design, if you are the homeroom teacher and the curriculum coordinator also could provide you with that more flexible schedule, that would be ideal. That would be great, because the student will have time to rest their mind or their eyes, right, to do asynchronous first, right? But in the real online class that run mostly, it's better for the teacher to ask the students to do asynchronous activity first before the class starts. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. I just concerned about that because takutnya nggak efektif gitu.
Nah, but I mean, sorry. But this one is only unwritten on your lesson plan, right? But later on, in 2 more weeks from now, right? When you conduct your micro teaching for the presentation part, then it's okay for you to just link what the students are going to have. I mean, the new topic that they are going to have with you in that class, yeah, with the previous activity that they have finished, that they have done during the asynchronous time. That would be very fine, yeah. But again, in the reality, yeah, the teacher will give activities asynchronously done by the students before the class starts.
Okay, okay, ma'am. So for the present, after I review, I allow the students to present like for about 3 to 5 minutes. Nah, di sini saya kasih kesempatan for in order to achieve the rest learning goal yang respon. Tadi sebenarnya di audio saya juga berusaha buat achieve learning goal supaya student identify the correct respon. Nah, di sini tapi juga I ask the listener to identify like and dislike expression and respond juga gitu, like they share their thoughts, baru saya give further explanation. After that I give appreciation for the presenter, and after that I ask them to join in breakout rooms. Jadi next week itu ada mini theater. So they mini theater-nya itu sebenarnya bukan yang bikin video, tapi tetap sama, cuman ini lebih ke kayak theater like acting. So they are going to the breakout room and create the conversation. Tapi mereka bisa raise hand dan nanya ke guru. Jadi guru bakalan cek satu-satu gitu. Actually, it's only that for the presentation. Yang paling bingung itu cuma tadi, mem, di pembagian sinkro sama asinkro.
Oh iya, okay. Nah, wait. For the synchronous, even for the asynchronous during the presentation part, don't forget the strategy that you have used, that you have chosen, yeah, it's about inquiry based, right? Now, if you can take a look at what would be the steps, langkah-langkahnya apa sih kalau inquiry based itu? First, the teacher will ask the students to observe things and try to discover by themselves about certain things, for example, yeah. And then number 2, the teacher will blah, blah, blah. Now, so you will need to detect what would be the steps on how teacher implement inquiry-based learning strategy in the classroom, yeah. And you will need to also synchronize with your plans here, the activities that you plan here, like teacher review the answer by the audio. Well, the activity that the students need to do for in their asynchronous time, yeah, actually will that be the entrance for the students to discover something so that their inquiry will be raised up, for example, yeah. So always revert to the steps of what strategy that you have used, that you have chosen to be implemented throughout the learning process, and to be more specific during the presentation time.
Okay, ma'am, it's very clear. And for the homework, actually, I try to, because my WKA is actually ask the students to like implement it in society. So I ask them to, ini masih latihan terbimbing ternyata. Latihan terbimbingnya, oh iya mana ya? Ini latihan sendirinya. I ask them to like implement likes and dislike expression in daily life. It can be in family and friends, and then they write it in journal, like just paper, one small conversation that they've implement, and they took a picture on it and then just post it in folder that teacher provided. That's for the homework. And maybe back to the closing, tadi kelompat. So in the closing, I asked them to like just share. Actually, I used Mentimeter before, but I'm afraid that consider again about the like jaringan segala macam and wasting times. Jadi saya pakai yang share langsung aja discussion. Jadi I asked them to share 1 until 3 points that they have learned, and then after that, what skill need to be improved. And after that, the teacher conclude and explain the correlation with the daily life back again according to WKA. Because my WKA is for society. And after that, the teacher explain the next week homework. That is writing journal, conversation, expressing and dislike journal. Baru the teacher ask the students to volunteer in the closing prayer and give appreciation for students who contribute in the class. And after that, the teacher once again motivate the students to apply the lesson in their daily life.
May I, would you please explain again about the homework that they need to make? I mean, they need to make a journal where, and in the journal, they need to make conversation? Is that
No, it's really not journal, ma'am. It's like they just write it in a paper, the conversation that they have applied in the family, and then they took a picture of that paper and just post the picture to the folder that the teacher already provide.
Okay. Well, all the values have been integrated well, yeah, Rani. And I could see the correlation also from the beginning until the end, until the closing part, as well as the homework that that you provide for them, not only to not only to to enhance their cognitive, their knowledge about these expressions, yeah, but they will also need to practice it out, but through writing, yeah. Now, this is the part where probably you may need to think about it again, because you're targeting improving your students' listening as well as their speaking skills. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's also that I concerned about, because actually I want them to speak. That is why they need to apply conversation in their daily life, ma'am. But I cannot see the proof that they have done that activities, speaking activities. So I asked them to write it in a paper, that the conversation that they have applied, and post it to folder as a proof. Because I was confused. How can I make sure that they apply that speaking in the family gitu? But so I think I need to consider that again, because
Yeah.
ini balik lagi ke writing.
Yeah, you can actually ask them to make a not like screenshot again, yeah. Just practice out their daily conversation with their family or friends only within like 2 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes only, and then they will need to record it, and then they will need to put it on using TikTok apps probably, or other apps probably, just the short clip of how they utilize or practice out the things that they have been learning so far, right? It would be fun for them as well as their homework, and it's not burdening.
Yeah. Or even if they don't, since they are still 7, or maybe they don't have, maybe they already have social media, but just post it on WA or class forum. It will be a better proof. Okay, ma'am.
But
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
reverse to the speaking skill, yeah, rather than writing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that's all for the rubric. Actually, that my question is the same as Dev, but Dev already helped me to ask it. I only use one rubric actually for the listening and for the uh, presentation. The cognitive if content and language feature, affective if voice and pronunciation, and also facial expression. I mean, like affective is collaboration, and for the psychomotor is voice and pronunciation and also facial expression.
Mm, for the content, this would be for the cognitive part, right? Being able to identify and identify the correct, or using the correct and incorrect response, and fill the gap on the conversation by using the correct likes and dislikes expression. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, so it means that you're going to also assess their draft, something like that?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Yes.
What for the quiz,
content,
right, ma'am?
For the content, will you also, will you assess their content, their ability, their understanding of their abilities, yeah, to identify the use of correct and incorrect responses, and fill in the gap on the conversation? Will you assess this while you're watching their presentation, or while you're reading their text, their dialogue, their conversation?
Actually, this is for the gap. It is actually for, yeah, I'm kind of confused in here because for the gap is actually in for the listening part, ma'am. So they feel for the listening part, they listen to an audio and then they write the correct sentence.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the other I identified in the presentation.
Okay. Got it. So this one would be for cognitive and affective. Okay. What else?
This one, a language feature, they just use like the language feature, and for the psychomotor is voice and pronunciation and also facial expression.
Psychomotor, affective, yeah, and then content, right?
Yeah.
For the psychomotor, what did you ask your students to do again? Sorry.
For this, it's a press. Wait a minute. The learning goal.
Oh, they need to create their own expression applied in the conversation, demonstrate conversation. So, okay, so they're going to present something, right? Yeah, based on the knowledge that they have gained throughout the lesson about likes and dislikes expressions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what else that you expect from your students when they demonstrate their skill, their understanding about likes and dislikes expression while they're doing it with their peers, probably? Yes,
Yeah, ma'am.
with their peers, yeah.
Mm.
Now, so what do you expect rather than using facial expressions, and then what else?
It's actually they are able to speak and create their sentence.
Their own sentences.
Yeah.
Okay,
Using
that
a
already included there. Okay, okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I think for the assessment tools that you have made, pretty much it has covered. It has covered all parts, even all aspects. Yeah, but as I said before, if you would or if you could integrate all the aspects only in one rubric, which is possible, but at the same time, is impossibly it might be impossibly or completely detected or followed up. Yeah, I mean like this. Since you can you please go to the instruments again, the assessment tool that you have made, the rubric. Because that is the tendency, yeah, when a teacher try to integrate all the whole aspects into one specific rubric only. Now the tendency would be teacher will not be too specific in what they expected from the students concerning about each aspect gitu, ya kan ya. Nah, what do you mean by collaboration? What do you expect your students to do about this? And in relation with likes and dislikes expression, do you think, Rani?
So actually, in the collaboration, I was like expecting they will need to discuss, right, about each students will try to create their own sentence, and then they will discuss, like so if they don't so if they don't contribute in the conversation, so it means that they cannot create their own sentence. So that is why I'm hoping that they to contribute. That is why I'm hoping that each students will raise their hand in each breakout room. So that is one of the way I also check the students' activeness in a group.
So their working group skills, yeah, I mean their collaborative skills. Okay.
But before that, I just want to make sure, ma'am. So is it okay just to cover? So according to your explanation, to reduce this, so actually there are three things that I assessed in this one rubric. I reduce it into two things, just cognitive and psychomotor.
Oh, what do you mean, Rani? Sorry, your voice is very small. Just was very small.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. So actually, I cover affective, cognitive, and psychomotor here, ma'am. So is it okay to reduce the collaboration for the affective, and I just assess two things through this one rubric, that is cognitive and also psychomotor.
Well, for the affective, it's important though to see how they collaborate. If it is done in peers or within a group, yeah, this is very important though, collaborative skill, yeah, and confidence as well, right? When they need to present or demonstrate their knowledge about dislike and like expressions, they need to be able to do it confidently in front of the class or record it, something like that, right?
So actually, for this, the assessment that we provide in our class is actually all group work, ma'am, because the first they need to create conversation and present the conversation. So it's actually only two person in one group. So
they surely need to contribute actively because there are only two. They need to create conversation. Both. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that will be more easy to assess the collaboration. That is why yeah.
Okay, so that's why you would omit collaboration, because for sure the students will actively involve because they are only two persons in the group. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. But again, yeah, since we need to also check or assess or monitor the students' learning progress thoroughly, holistically, yeah. So still, cognitive psychomotor can be combined. And what about the affective? What about the spiritual? I may suggest, yeah, Rani, since this is a very good, what is it, like design, your plan is very good, yeah, to ask them not to only know about the correct and incorrect expressions whenever they want to show their like and dislike towards something or towards someone, right? And of course, the value also is very clear, yeah. So I may suggest you to also make another assessment tool which will help your students to reflect on their own progress, right? Their self-assessment or their individual reflection. Yeah, especially if you are teaching secondary students, they need to be able to reflect on what they have been learning so far. Gitu. Yeah, because we also know, we do realize, yeah, especially in this online context as well, if they just say out loud whenever they don't like someone, they don't like situations, and then they can just spell it out publicly on their social media, for example, without paying attention on the borders, yeah, then they will make chaos. I mean, their world will be chaotic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
they need to they need to be encouraged to have a self-reflection toward what process that they have been or experience that they have ever had before, right?
Okay. Yeah, it's very clear. Maybe for the last question. So this tool is for self-assessment, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm still confused on imagining like self-assessment. So it's only covers the affective or also the three aspects, ma'am.
Probably will only cover cognitive and affective, right? Cognitive, because they need to also declare, I mean, what they have learned so far, right? What they have gained from the lesson that you deliver for them, the materials that you have delivered for them, right? And then after that, what can they reflect on the process that they have had, probably previously, before they learn more about dislike and like expressions, they used to use like what is it, words that might hurt other people's feelings. For example, they just straight away say it out loud to the person, for example, and then what can they learn from it, right?
Okay. It's clear, ma'am. Well, I think maybe that's all from me.
Okay.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome. Oh, Ruth is gone already. Maybe not only Ruth, but also your other friends, they can let me stop the recording.